All right, here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of AfroLatinos. It is your co-host, Aubyn.
And your co-host, Chandler.
And we are back with another episode with our siblings. Welcome back, Nate and Anna. If you didn't watch our last week's episode, go back and watch it. We had a lot of fun with our siblings, and so we decided, part one just wasn't good enough. We have to make it a part two. So they're back. We had a whole, what's really crazy is we had a whole list of things that we were going to talk about last week. And we talked about absolutely none of them. And so this week, we're just going to see what happens because I don't know what this is going to look like. We're just going to start talking again and see what comes up. But before we get started, I have something I want to show y'all. This is a very important question. And sorry for you audio listeners, you're going to miss out. Anyone who watches this on video, you're going to be the only ones that can see this because I'm going to share something from my phone for you. And this is going to be a very important decision for everyone to make. Okay? I need everyone to decide if you had to eat one of these, what would it be? Hold on, it's coming.
I like that. Oh, there it is. Oh, I've seen this.
If you had to eat one now, there are some very, very disgusting choices here. It looks like we got a cookie cheeseburger. You have a banana covered in what I can only assume is ham and mustard.
I've seen this recipe.
A hollandaise. So it's egg mayo, even worse. There is a kiwi. What's in there? Kiwi and olive and carrots and peas and hodgepodge jello. And then a New England clam chowder popsicle. So if you had to pick one, which one would you pick?
A cyanide pill.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
That is the only correct
that is the. Can I pick or? Is or an option here? No, it's because I think I would have to go with.
It has to be the cookie burger.
You got to go with the cookie burger, right? You got to go with the cookie burger.
That looks like something I would eat.
One.
That looks like the ultimate struggle food, but also it is the only one. I mean, chocolate and beef cannot possibly go together, but it has got to be better than any. Like I don't really like bananas in the first place, so to be eating a banana covered in all that extra stuff and clam chowder popsicle literally sounds like torture. I'm pretty sure I saw that in the Saw movie.
At least there's no additives to it. It is just a can of Campbell's Chunky.
That is true.
Oh,
but a chunky popsicle? Okay. All right. That just got, somehow it got worse.
I mean, if I have fruit chunks, it's no bad.
I'm going to have Nate replace me for a second. I got to take it. These stupid dogs be giving me allergies, bro. Well, I'm gonna pass this over to Nate's Chandler for today for like 2 minutes. I'll be back. But you got Nate, so it's like a better version of me. So
it's better. All right.
You're getting more than you do when I'm here. So
are we all in agreement? So we're taking the cookie cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Got to be the cookie cheeseburger. All right.
Only thing that would throw it off would be just the cheese.
Oh, that's it. That's the one part.
The cheese is gonna throw everything off, but
that's it. I mean, it's not the fact that you're eating a burger with a cookie. That's not the chocolate. None of that. That's the problem.
You could even eat them separately, like eat the 2 cookies and then eat the burger.
And that's, I think, the one thing, you might be right, that's the one thing you can separate.
It didn't say it.
That's true.
All together.
That is a good point. That's a great point. But that cheese is going to get stuck. Then you have a cheesy cookie. But a cheesy cookie is still better than any of those other things.
Have you ever thought about, those cheese crackers that are like sandwiches and got the peanut butter in the middle?
Yeah. Who was the first person to ever think about that?
That was a good combination. And why did we as Americans just go so hard?
But you know what's crazy? I love those stupid things.
They're delicious.
But if anyone were to take a jar of peanut butter, if I would ever see somebody with a jar of peanut butter and a block of cheddar cheese, just scoop it and I would call the police. Because there's something seriously wrong with that. Huh?
You gotta put on a Ritz cracker then too.
Oh, there we go. There's the camera. Now I got hold on. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry. No, but those things, they're so good, and it doesn't make any sense because they really shouldn't be. Cheese and peanut butter is not the move. All right, so, I gotta talk to y'all about something. So, from last week's episode, last week we kind of talked about movies. We talked about video games. Talked about kind of everything. So over the last week, some things have changed in my life. Cheney and I, what happened? Cheney and I the other night watched Into the Spider-Verse. And I stayed awake the whole time. And I watched the movie in its entirety.
How you feel about it?
Get this man off the podcast.
It was good, but y'all hyped it up so much. I guess I was just expecting I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't great. To me, it just wasn't. It just wasn't all that. It isn't. It was good. I liked it, but it just wasn't like.
I don't even know what to say about it. It's just a great movie. It's one of the best animated movies.
I don't know.
So
I thought it was a fantastically made movie.
Well, no, you're right. It is a fan for, and here's what I loved about here's what I did love about it. I loved the amount of things that they were able to do with their animation because they definitely took animation to a whole nother level. The visual effects and everything that happened in the movie. Spectacular, fantastic.
Changed
but
the
it
genre,
just,
or at least it should have.
It should have, but nobody's gonna be able to touch that. Also, you know what I mean? They're gonna have to really try to do a lot to touch the amount of visual effects and things that happen throughout the movie. So, in terms of animated films, I absolutely understand why people consider it one of the best animated films of all time because I would probably agree. In terms of just a film in general, I don't know. I don't know if I would put it up there for me.
So I think one of the things I like most about it is because it so completely and perfectly utilizes the media that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of I went to film school, so I try to notice intent in things.
Mm-hmm.
So when I watch an animated movie, a lot of times I'm like, all right, this is good, but it's not using the media to the best of its ability. Because because the difference between live action and animated movies is live action is inherently connected to reality. So
and you're limited because of what you can do.
You have to explain
right.
How are these things happening in this? With an animated movie, you literally have anything you can do.
That's a great point.
Literally anything you want to do can be done in animation. But a lot of animated movies, they're going the wayside of try to make this as lifelike as possible. Same thing with video games. It's what can we have the best graphics for? Instead of thinking how can we use this media that it can't we cannot recreate this anywhere else.
Right.
How do we use this media that we have to make this movie? And I think Spider-Verse is probably, it so perfectly utilizes 3D animation. You could not have this movie in any other thing. So completely changed the genre. That's why I like it. It's steps above whatever else I've seen.
What I can say about it, I don't like Marvel stuff, Avengers, none of that stuff. I can say that movie was actually really interesting to me. That one and Ant-Man. Those are my two favorite movies.
Oh, I loved Ant-Man.
Those two.
I loved that. The second one wasn't as good, but Ant-Man was great.
Ant-Man, I love Ant-Man.
The Mexican guy.
Yeah.
So what happened? So here's what happened. I can have him narrate my entire life for me and be happy. What I was about to say. Okay, so while we're talking about the movie, who was everyone's favorite character in the movie? Because I know who. Cheney, I would probably know your answer already, and I will have something to say to that in a minute. But who was everyone's favorite character in the movie?
Peter B. Or Miles, both of them equally.
Peter B is the other Spider-Man that came back and.
Spider-Man.
I would have to say that one or who's that girl? Is it Gwen?
Gwen.
Yeah,
Spider. Yeah.
Gwen.
Her character was pretty tough.
I like her.
I don't know why, but Jose's favorite character is Peter Porker.
I love it.
He was fun. The little spider pig. Spider pig.
Hey, it's Spider Ham.
Yes.
That's what they call Spider Ham, and then his name is Peter Porker.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved him, but like that wasn't my favorite. But
It's actually canonical. Like there's Spider-Ham comics. All of the lead Spider-Men in the movie were actual Spider-Men.
Well, now that makes sense why the Simpsons had that Spider Pig joke a couple years ago. Now I just thought it was random, but that would make sense.
I wonder if that was actually connected. I don't know. I didn't watch the movie.
It probably would be. I would assume it would be at least. But I liked my favorite Spider-Man in the movie was Noir Spider-Man.
Yes.
I don't know why. There's something about the black and white one where he just the way that he talked, the way that he did things. Just like I love that character. He made me laugh.
You wanna know why?
Perfect.
You wanna know why? When they introduced
It was Nicolas Cage.
That was Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. You didn't hear it?
I wasn't paying that close attention. I just liked hearing him. I just liked listening to him talk.
Yeah. You want to know why you like it? The way they introduced him made him so dramatic, and you're a DC fan, so everything's so dramatic and dark, and that's what Spider Noir is.
You know what? You might have a point. You might have a point.
And then what was the Japanese Spider?
Yeah, I don't know the Japanese
I can't
woman's
remember what
name.
her name was.
She was cool too.
Penny. It was Penny.
Yeah, she was actually her comic run was made by I think Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
Because he does comics as well. I know that she was created by someone who had a band. I think it was My Chemical Romance guy.
Now, here's what I liked about Spider-Verse, and this comes from, and pretty appropriate that we're talking about on an AfroLatinos podcast, right? But what I enjoyed about this specific character of Miles Morales is the representation, because you don't often see Black or Hispanic youth, especially in film, in TV, as anything but a certain niche of characters, right? A certain catalog of characters. You know, if you see a Black youth in a movie, they're either an athlete or they are dealing with drugs somehow, or they're in jail for something, or they're an orphan, or their parents don't love them, or, you know, and same thing, I don't know if I said Black and Latino youth, but it's pretty much the same. For Black and Latino youth, even mostly adults in film, our representation is that we are from the streets, that we are dealing with drugs, that we are X, Y, and Z. And so it's so rare that we get the opportunity. I mean, think about major superhero films that have come out over the last however many years that superhero films have really been famous. Like, how many superheroes of color have there been in our movies? Like, growing up, we had Static Shock, and Static Shock is a Black superhero. Great show, by the way. They're making a comeback. They're making a movie. Michael B. Jordan is producing the movie, so that's pretty cool. I think that'll be fun. You know, we have now Black Panther, so there's two. In X-Men, we had Storm, played by Halle Berry, who also plays Catwoman, but even then, she's a villain. She's not really a hero. But can anyone think of any others in major mainstream comic books that, I mean, there is a, canonically, there are two characters that are Black. Martian Manhunter in DC, John Jones is usually played by a black actor. Like in the Supergirl TV shows, played by a black actor. I think in the comic books he might be Black. His main human form is Black. And then
Black coded, definitely.
Who's the other one?
Black Lightning.
Black Lightning is a new show. Luke Cage. I guess we have Luke Cage too.
But they're like not like.
Dang it! Oh, Green Lantern. Green Lantern canonically, there's a Black Green Lantern. But other than that, the majority of times we see superheroes are white, and so I think that it and Miles Morales, you know, is he full Black or is he Spanish in the movie? Is he just Spanish in the movie?
His mom's Puerto Rican.
Black. Or was it Puerto Rican?
Yeah, his mom's Puerto Rican. I know that 'cause, like, they show a lot of, especially in the new game that's gonna come up, they're gonna represent a lot of Puerto Rico because wherever he is, he's from Harlem, so that's straight Puerto Rico. Yeah. So like in the game, they show a lot of like Puerto Rican flags and all that stuff, like little like festivity or celebration, something like that.
And I think that's what makes this character so great, is because not only, you know, if he never spoke Spanish, but they do speak Spanish throughout the film.
And it's
Yeah, so
untranslated
even
Spanish, which I love.
right, and there's exactly, and there's no like so with that, like, Black children growing up seeing that can see themselves, and that's the thing that made Black Panther so spectacular, is that like Black characters or Black kids can see themselves as a hero. Puerto Rican kids, Hispanic kids who hear Spanish, they might, you know, they just think it's a cool movie, but then they hear Spanish and, oh, that, you know, that guy talks like we do at home, you know what I mean? Like that's me, that's us, and they can see themselves as a hero. It's kind of like when in the Disney princess saga, you didn't have a Black princess until Tiana, and she was an incredible she was one of those princesses who, you know, wanted to do everything for herself, and then she fell in love with this guy along the way. And yes, there's that whole romance, because that's what Disney princesses do, but you know, she even fought against that romance, I feel like, for a long time, because she had her dream. She wanted to obtain it herself. She didn't need anyone else's help. She didn't want anyone else's help. And this was just this representation of like this girl coming up from nothing and being able to succeed, and then being a Disney princess. And now we start to see, you know, princesses in the Disney franchise of color. And we are attempting, I think, whether it's a genuine intent or not, we are still being able to see ourselves represented in more positive ways, at least in Disney, and then in that superhero franchise as well.
See, I think one of the most important things vis-a-vis representation in Spider-Verse is the fact that, you know, being Black and Latino is so integral to his character, because like going back to comic books, like that's where the root of Spider-Verse is. Comic books, if you are not white, then you are playing a role. Like they're basically stereotypes of what they are. So like, I mean, you know, it's like a bit. Either they're totally like playing up the racial stereotypes in the character, or it's just it's has nothing to do with it. They just happen to be Black.
They happen to be.
Their story has nothing to do with their character. But you can't separate his identity from his version of Spider-Man.
From his character.
Because like I said, like he speaks unsubtitled Spanish throughout the movie every once in a while. Like just the fact that like a huge thing for him is like graffiti, like spray paint and graffiti. Like, that is such a big part of his character.
Inherently Black culture.
Yeah, and it's like that's something that a lot of times is considered like it's a bad thing.
Right.
Graffiti.
Right.
But it's played out like that's who he is. That's what he did with his uncle. That's what his uncle used to do with his father. Like his Spider-Man costume at the end, he spray paints it to give it his own style. So he is Spider-Man, but it's like it's so important that he's like it's his identity. It is something that they did really well in Spider-Verse that I just love very much.
Thoughts?
You
Yes.
see, you've pretty much said everything good about the movie, and yet you found it eh. Why?
No. I'm not. Okay, so I appreciate it for what's work in animation, and its visual effects. I can appreciate that. I also can appreciate the cultural significance and the meaning behind it, but I wasn't enveloped in the story, simply because, and this is probably, and I recognize my own biases, but I'm not a Spider-Man fan, so it's hard for me to love the movie. I can appreciate it for its greatness in its specific categories, but as a film, I just not my favorite thing. Just because I'm not encapsulated by Spider-Man in general. So
the thing about it is, it's like it is like line by line, it is a Spider-Man movie. It has all of it's his origin. I mentioned it at the end of the last one, but the Spider-Man Ultimate, the comic book we had, it's almost exactly like the same thing as that one. Like it even had Kingpin as the main villain. But the thing that makes it so incredible, which is why I talk so highly of it, is because it does all of that. It doesn't reinvent the wheel in the story, like in the actual story itself, but in the way that the story is told. Like every way that it's told, like from the soundtrack, from the animation, just to like Miles Morales himself, it is telling the story of Spider-Man in a way that has not been told since Spider-Man. There's been like 3 Spider-Man reboots in the past like 10, 15 years.
There's been way too many.
And they've all been doing the same exact thing. And this does the same thing. Like it tells the origin story of Spider-Man. We've seen it, but because of the way it's told,
you've never seen it like this. Yeah.
It's new. It's surprising. Like when I watched it in theaters for the first time, I was completely shocked when Uncle Aaron died, even though
every Spider-Man always has an uncle die.
His uncle has to die. And I wasn't expecting it because they changed.
Well, that's true, because in this case, his uncle was not, and every other, Uncle Ben is always just this white guy who just dies he's an innocent bystander. In this case, he's not an innocent bystander. In fact, he's a villain and he's killed by another villain. Also, off topic, but not off topic, Wilson Fisk,
big boy.
That man in this freaking movie was so big and his head was so small. I thought that was so funny. And it was just like every time he would do anything, I'm just like, dang.
Wait, hold on.
That's a big boy right there.
There was a picture going around when Spider-Verse first came out. Someone at a comic convention did a cosplay of Kingpin.
The Spider-Verse Kingpin?
Yes, and they like literally built him to be this big, and his head is so small. I have to look it up.
That's hilarious. So anyway, it's not that the movie, like, so I've seen Spider-Man 1 and 2. I don't think I ever watched Spider-Man 3. And then I honest to God have not watched any of the new Spider-Man reboots that they've had. So from those 3 movies, Spider-Verse is easily the best one out of all the Spider-Man series to me. But I just am not a huge Spider-Man fan, so I don't know. It's not that I think the movie is it's just that it's just like, I don't feel the need to see it again.
I guess that's fair. I understand where you're coming from, and you don't have to like it, It's just how it is. Sometimes you just confuse me because it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me, and that's fine, because like you don't have.
Look at my boy.
How small this man's head is.
His baby arms.
That's so funny. All right, my fault. Go ahead, Tina.
No, because like, I think you've told me why you don't like Spider-Man, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to like Spider-Man. You're a DC fan. But I'm a Marvel fan, and I can still appreciate DC. They've had 3 different Batmans, just like Spider-Man.
They've had way more than 3.
The Dark Knight is freaking like probably the best. It's just like everybody's saying, Tobey Maguire would probably be the best Spider-Man out there.
Tobey Maguire was supposed to be Peter B in this movie. They were gonna get him, but
that's hilarious.
But he couldn't make it for some reason. But Peter B is the Spider-Man from the original Spider-Man trilogy. That's that canon.
Okay.
It's not like I can't appreciate, like, yes, I'm a DC fan, but I also love superheroes in general. So it's not like I'm just hating on the movie because it's a Spider-Man film. It's just like, it's not one, like, I think I said this before, like, I don't rewatch things anyway. So unless it was like something that really like caught my attention, and that, so even like, I guess it's just I don't know. Just if I watched it again, I would see it differently, maybe, but I don't know. I think I just went into it kind of not expecting it to be my favorite thing in the world, so it just wasn't.
You don't. I don't like watching movies with somebody when they don't pay attention to it. And I think
I
that's
paid attention. I was watching the whole thing.
you pay attention, but at the same time, it's like you don't. It's like for this movie or any movie, I specifically just watched the movie. Like I don't want anybody talking in my ear or any of that. And we can make comments, and that's fine. That's exactly what I did for Avengers and all that. I go to the movies and we all react and all that stuff. But unless we're with each other, because we were watching it, like you were in my ear, we were talking about the movie, but I feel like you were distracted and you weren't like. And you don't have to watch it again. Like, you already watched it, and now you get it because you watched it awake. But like whenever you watch something, it's like you have so much going on that you don't watch the movie. Like I'm sure, like you said,
That
you
might be
watch the
true
movie,
also.
like, but you don't watch the movie. You're like watching it, then you're doing something else, and like probably like somebody talks to you and you speak to them, but you're still watching the movie. But it's not the same as just sitting there and just like understanding everything and like appreciating it. Like you did.
That's also probably a great point, because there's almost no time in my life where I'm ever just watching a movie and not doing something else. Unless I'm in the movie theaters watching a movie, that's the only time you're going to get me to watch a movie. If I'm not asleep, it is the only time you'll get me to watch a movie when I am 100% focused on the movie. I'm always doing something else. Unless it's something that I really want to see.
So I think one thing about one last glowing praise about Spider-Verse for me is that it won the 2018 Oscars for Best Animation, which has almost consistently gone to Disney ever since probably like the early 2000s. Like it's just every year.
Well, I mean, what movie would be possible to have beat that out in animation? Like that's almost
no.
like.
Well, listen, the year previous to the 2017 Oscar Academy Awards, there was a movie that came out. It was called Loving Vincent. It was a story about Vincent van Gogh, and it was every frame. It was an animated movie. Every single frame of that movie had been hand painted as an oil painting. There was over 100,000 oil paintings made by hand. Giant pieces. It took probably over 10 years to make, because oil painting is very hard, very difficult, and they're doing it in the style of Vincent van Gogh. So no movie has ever come out that has ever done something like that, and it still lost in 2017 to Coco. So the fact that Spider-Verse won when a movie like Loving Vincent couldn't win against Disney,
well,
is just
that's true, but the animation in Coco was, I mean, they did a lot of now. And obviously, there's two different mediums there, right? Two different styles, two different mediums, two different levels of work that had to go into the movie. But Coco, for what it was, included a tremendous amount of animation and very cool animation in the things that they did too. Obviously, it's different.
I'm not down.
Obviously, it's different. You're right.
I'm saying, like,
it's hard to beat Disney in that. Yes.
I think that the animation Oscar should go to something that pushes the medium in a way that it hasn't ever been done before.
Sure.
So it was clear to me that Loving Vincent should have won. And then going into it, you've got, I don't remember what movies came out in 2018, but Spider-Verse was, I mean, it was an underdog, and it still came out and it won the Oscar, which is just something so incredible. Like, I don't know. I just love the movie. I'm excited for the sequel to come out. I think it's 2022. Hopefully the world still exists by then so I can watch it.
Nate, any thoughts there?
Nah.
Nate doesn't.
I don't really like this stuff. So I can't.
Nate doesn't watch much. He doesn't do anything. If it's all American, he'll watch it because it's related to sports. If it's not sports, he doesn't watch movies. He can't go to the movie theaters without falling asleep or something. Like,
I don't know. I'm like you, Aubyn. Like, if I'm not interested in it, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Like, but
no.
I did watch Spider-Man. I don't really like Spider-Man. I did watch this Into the Spider-Verse, and I really liked it. So I feel like if I start watching more movies, like, out of my comfort zone, I'll start liking more movies, all that, whatnot. But, like, right now, I'm not interested in Avengers, Marvels, none of that stuff.
So, Anna, to your question, here is the the 5 nominees that year in 2018 for Best Animated Feature. And it is sad. This is what shows you that it was not much competition. So you had Boss Baby, which I've seen it. I think I saw it. It was an okay movie.
I like that,
but didn't do too much animation-wise. You had Boss Baby, The Breadwinner, which I've never heard of. God bless you. Which is about a young girl in Taliban era Afghanistan who's forced to help care for her family when her father is carted off to prison.
That was a really big movie in the animation world at the time it was coming out. Because I remember talking with my animation professor. It was pretty big, so that one also I think should have taken it.
Then it's Coco.
Coco is fire.
Cheney, that's enough. I've had about enough of that. Ferdinand, the bull. Never. I didn't need to see that one. And then Loving Vincent. So one of the things I'm reading this little whatever. One of the things that might have lost Loving Vincent, because there's a lot of people who probably thought it should have won, but I think, and I didn't see it, and I don't know anything about the movie, but according to this article that I'm reading, the storyline in the movie wasn't that great. So they're wishing there was more story included in the animation, like the whole, to make the movie kind of feel like a whole thing. So anyway, all right. I think it's a good time to point something out, Cheney. Not that either of you are paying attention to your own podcast. Okay,
I'm not on my phone.
I was just looking at the best animated features for 2019, and it was Toy Story 4, Missing Link, I Lost My Body, How to Train Your Dragon, and Claws. And Toy Story 4 won.
Claws!
Claws should have won.
Claws should have taken it.
So good. And it should have. I watched it, and it should have won over Toy Story 4. But it's
a 2D animated movie, Aubyn. It was made by Netflix, but it looks like it's in stylized 3D animation. It's incredible, and it was traditionally done instead of digitally, which isn't really happening much anymore. So like Disney movies up till Princess and the Frog had been traditionally done, but that was the last one. That's where they actually like draw it out on paper, and then they get it painted on cells and all that stuff. That Disney doesn't do that anymore. They've switched over to 3D entirely, which is a huge shame. Their animated movies were incredible.
Of course, yeah. Well,
but anyway, let us take a moment to reintroduce Cheney, a segment that we had added a couple weeks ago, but we haven't done since. He's not even listening to me, but that's okay. Audience, we're going to take a moment and welcome a newer segment. We've only done it one time, but welcome everyone to the Culture Corner. This is a segment that Cheney and I developed to take a moment out of our episode to talk about culture. As a show titled AfroLatinos, we often talk about, we sometimes talk about things that are pertinent to being an African American or being Latino and kind of what that feels like, what that looks like. But one of our main goals for this show is to just be able to be us, and this is something that we've talked about already in this episode. I think in previous episodes, we've kind of talked about it. And when we got interviewed for the newspaper, Cheney, you and I talked about it too. But so many times when we see Black and Latino or a minority specifically, when we see minority stories, like you said, Anna, they're always told or they are either specifically driven by their race or their culture, and their character is based upon that strictly, and it's super played out to the stereotypes. And it's so rare that we just get the opportunity to be ourselves. Like Miles Morales, while that movie did a great job of incorporating the culture, he was just, he was Spider-Man. He was Spider-Man, a hero who was also Hispanic and Black, and was able to do a great job of melding all of that into one. But so many times, he was I think what's interesting is that they did a great job of being able to create a character who was a superhero and Black and Latino at the same time, rather than a Black superhero. Does that make sense? The difference between those two things make sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that we often get painted into these boxes of what it means to be XYZ. And so we just want to take a moment on this culture corner to ask everyone, Cheney, I've already talked about it, really to ask Nate and Anna, what does being African American and Latino, in our case, Anna, and to Nate, what does being a Latino mean to you? What does it mean to you? How does it impact your life?
Nate, go first.
No, you got it.
I talked about Spider-Man a lot. No, it's your turn.
Yeah, you ain't said nothing this whole episode, Nate. Come on.
No, she got it.
I guess I got it. I mean, it's weird to say, but it's kind of relatively new to me. I mean, it's been a few years. Like, Aubyn and I, we grew up in Milton, PA, very, very white area. So like,
so recently, which is it's now changing. Yeah. But anyway,
that's what I'm saying. It's like I've always kind of felt distanced from it in a way, because I never connected to either. Like, our mom's family is Dominican, our dad's family is Black. I never really connected with either side of them. I was very quiet. I was always reading a book somewhere, so I didn't really, read. They didn't reach out to me. It felt like I didn't reach out to them. And so I've never really been. I kind of feel like I haven't been a part of either. And, for a long time, I didn't think of myself as different. Like, I knew I could see there was difference, but, I was no different from any from my white classmates or whatever. So it never really occurred to me that there was a huge difference until probably, like, I think around mid-high school, I think, like, because at that point, like, I was the only, like, Black person that any of my white friends knew. And so they would always tell me, like, Anna, I'm Blacker than you. I listen to rapper.
Don't you hate when people say stupid? I want to punch everybody in the face.
I used to laugh at that, because I was just like, I guess.
So did I.
All I had to really understand Black culture was the same thing as they did. Like, that they saw on TV was what I saw on TV. So that's what I saw. And I was like, well, I don't really connect with any of that, so it doesn't matter. And so it probably wasn't until the Ferguson riots where things really started to connect with me, because I was in journalism for all 4 years of high school, but I wasn't, like, a part of it until third year. But after Mike Brown had been killed, I remember I was just, like, crushed about the whole thing, and I wasn't sure. I didn't really know why. Like, I knew it was hugely messed up kind of situation, but I didn't understand why it was bothering me so much. And then I remember, for whatever reason, I don't remember why I wasn't there, but one of the journalism class periods, I was absent. And that was the day that they had decided to have the race discussion and talk about the Ferguson riots and all of that. And so my friend had told me afterwards, she was like, hey, Anna, I just wanted you to know. We talked about the whole Ferguson thing in class, and most of the class kind of came to an agreement that Mike Brown's death was justified. And that absolutely crushed me. And I couldn't figure out why. Like, I was just like, I was bawling in the middle of gym class. I was like, why am I crying about this right now? Why, how do they not understand, how could they think that was justified? And then this kid, Curtis, who was in my class, came up to me and was like, Anna, like, why are you crying right now? And I was like, well, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, well, that was me. I think it was completely justified that he was killed. It's like, how on earth could you say something like that? How could you think, in what way would the murder of this, like, 15-year-old kid or whatever. Like, how could that be justified? And he was like, well, if you're selling fake cigarettes on the street, like, and you resist arrest, what's the point? Like, yeah. And it was that point that it clicked for me, because that wasn't Mike Brown. That was someone else in New York that had happened the same week. And his name is escaping me right now, which kills me. But, so I was just like screaming at him in the middle of gym. I was like, they're not even the same person. How could you condemn a child to die and you don't even have the dignity to know that it was someone else that you're using him for? And that absolutely destroyed me. And that's when I started actually like internalizing that they're never gonna see me for me. They're only ever gonna see that I'm Black. And then I started thinking, like, if this would ever happen to me or someone that I know, they would switch sides immediately.
That is absolutely crushing and much more somber than probably most people would ever think but it's huge. And I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way. And, I talked in the first episode of this podcast, our first ever episode, I talked about kind of my understanding of who I was and when it started to click for me and when I started to connect. But what's funny, and it's not actually funny, it's just like one of those things that people say. You literally, I've been writing this song and it's been changing a lot. But I'm writing a song. It was originally called Identity. I don't think that it's called Identity anymore. I think it's called See Me. And literally the chorus says, I want you to see me for me. So why don't you see me? Why don't you see me for me? Because it's literally, and some of the lyrics that I have written literally speak to what you just said. It's like when you look at me, and this is a conversation I have with a bunch of people, like the first thing that people will see when they look at me, regardless of what they want to say, the first thing you see when you see me is that I'm Black. With that comes so many different things from all the prejudices and all of the stereotypes from Black people you've ever met. And if you've never met another Black person in your life, you only have to go from what TV and movies show you. So what do TVs and movies show you? Most of them show that we're thugs. Most of them show that we're drug dealers. Most of them show that we have 16 kids to 17 different baby mamas. And so we never have positive representation is so lacking. And what drives me nuts about TV and film also is that when we do have a character who is represented in a positive manner, it is always when our stories are not being told as a thug or as a villain, it is always that we are slaves, or it is always set in the civil rights movement. Literally always. And that is incredibly frustrating because there is so much more to Black history than just those moments in history, but that is the only thing that's ever shown. And so it's the song says in its planning stages, like, you'll never see my college degree. When you look at me, you're never going to see me as an educator. Like, I am college educated. I have a full-time job. I do not have any kids. I've never sold drugs. I've never done drugs. I've never done X, Y, and Z that you might think of me when you see Black. That's not who I am. So before you put that stereotype on me, before you start to think that that's who I am, get to know me for who I am and get to understand me for who I am. Because until that moment, you can never really understand. One of my favorite things that I've ever said, and I don't know if I came up with it or if someone else came up with it and I just stole it from them, but I tell this to people all the time. And the lyrics, I think it's in there. It's you've heard the saying, like, walk a mile in someone's shoes and you'll understand their life. But that's not true. Because, so I wear a size 12, right? That was a question on the show last week. My dad wears a size 12. We can wear the same shoes, but the places that he goes in my shoes and the places that I'll go in my shoes are different. We might even weigh similar amounts. So that it's going to walk heavier or walk lighter with another person. Even though you walk a mile in somebody's shoes, you're going to walk that mile differently. So our stories, while they may be similar, and while you might try and experience my life the way that I've lived it as much as you can, your choices that you've made and the things that you've done are not going to be the same ones that I've done. And so it's going to feel different. It's going to look different. So the only way for you to truly understand the way that someone lives their life is to understand them and to get to know them, not try to put yourself in their position, because you're never going to be able to be there. All you can do is listen and understand. So yeah, I get it. You literally are writing a song that you literally said words that are stolen from my notes that no one can see. So yes. All right, Nate. No, it doesn't have to be that deep. I mean, if that's not, this is just who we are. You know what I'm saying? So just tell your experience. You know, what does being Puerto Rican mean to you? How does it affect your life?
I mean, it's like a big thing for me. I was born and raised most of my life in Puerto Rico, so, and it's every single person in my family is Puerto Rican, so like it's a big thing for me. And when I moved over here, so I learned English pretty quick, and like let's say less than a year. So when I was learning, my accent obviously wasn't that good. It was still like Puerto Rican. So I was always getting made fun of. So then, like for a long time, I was hiding that Puerto Rican side of me. Like I would be scared to talk Puerto Rican, like Spanish. I'd be scared to like even like talk in general because of my accent. So I would try to hide it, and then for a while there, I would never like show it until like for a while there, I would see like my mom go out. She wouldn't care. She would just show herself. So then that's when I like truly like I didn't care. I would talk Spanish everywhere I went, and like yeah. So that's basically what it means to me. Like I love it. I love being able to speak Spanish. I love like like the food, everything, the culture, everything. That's what it means to me.
Do you ever? This is so Anna, you kind of talked about your experiences in high school and kind of how you navigated your space and when you really started to understand like that you were different from your peers. So Nate, did you ever feel that way? Like, did you ever feel like, was there ever a point in your schooling career, and I know you're still in high school now, had you ever felt that difference? Like, is it ever palpable? Is it ever like you can feel that you are different from other people, or do you feel like you're well accepted for who you are, or do you? And even we'll get there in a second. So do you ever feel like you are different, or does that ever come up in like conversation with your friends? Like, do your friends make fun of you for it, or did you ever get that coming up in school?
So and that's where like so second grade, that's when I started learning English. Everyone would make fun of my accent because like it was different from everyone else's. So then that's why I was scared to show that I was Puerto Rican. And yeah, that's what they made fun of me there. Then when I showed like my true like colors, I could say, when I showed who I was, they started accepting it and like they didn't care as much and started becoming my friends. But like yeah, for a major part there, it was like they would make fun of me and all that. And then I could say last year, like my accent was weird, and like a certain like one of my sentences was weird, and then when my friends brought it up, they started making fun of me and all that. But like it's whatever now.
So you don't feel like you ever have that issue of like people, like your friends, never cause an issue with you being Hispanic?
Not anymore. Nah.
Now this brings an interesting question to my mind, and I know Cheney, you're not jumping in the conversation, which is okay, but and I don't know, Cheney, this is kind of a question for you too, because I don't think we talked about this in the last episode. And I guess Anna, to you too, have you ever felt like, okay, so a lot of times we hear we live in a colorblind society, which is bull and the stupidest thing that anyone has ever said, because anyway. So have you ever felt that people were so colorblind, or that they did not see, they just assumed you were, one of us, like you're not Black, you're not Latino, you're not Hispanic, you're not XYZ, you're just one of us, you're just our friend, to the point where they felt comfortable enough around you to say derogatory things about people of your own race, of your own culture, because they didn't think it would affect you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if like, as a black man, like, probably chances are, even though that most people don't see me as quote unquote black, I don't fit the stereotype of what that means, but chances are they're not going to say a black joke to me. You know what I mean? They're not going to say like the N-word to me, because they recognize like that's a problem, right? But maybe it's not that overt. Maybe it's more of a covert a thing. But has anyone ever felt like your friends or people close to you did not respect you enough, or just in general, that they just didn't think that you were, they didn't see you as different, so they just talked about whoever they wanted to, however they wanted to, because of that? I don't know if that question makes sense.
We've talked about this, but one of your ex-girlfriends used to do that. We went to high school together. We were in all the same classes together for a while. She was also in journalism. I don't know where she landed on the whole Ferguson thing. So I don't know what her thoughts were of that specific situation, but she used to say the N-word all the time around me in conversation, all this stuff. And like at one point I was just like, stop. Like, I'm not comfortable with you using that word. Could you not use that word, please? Like, you shouldn't be using it in the first place. But if you feel like you have to say it, don't do it around me, because I don't like it at all. And she infuriated me because she was like, why can't I say it? Like, if you were walking down the hallway and you heard someone else in the hallway say it, like, you wouldn't confront them about it, so why are you confronting me about it? I was like, you're right. I wouldn't. I would still feel wildly uncomfortable because I don't like it. I don't like it when non-black people use it. But I wouldn't say anything because they're not part of my life at all. Like, I consider you
it's
a
not
friend.
the same relationship style, right?
I considered you a friend, so that you would think, like, if you would ask your friend not to call you something, that they wouldn't call you that. Because she had a nickname that she didn't like, and I used to say it to her jokingly, and then she's like, hey, I don't actually like it when you use that. So I stopped immediately. And this was after that, but she would still say it, even though I asked her not to. And so, So yes.
Some people just be trash,
Yes.
Nate, Cheney? Cheney's over there dying from these allergies, bro.
I have plenty questions and plenty answers. I just don't feel like saying them. I'm not one to speak up on anything, so I've had people. I don't know.
This is kind of our podcast.
When it comes to stuff like that, I just don't speak on it. I'd rather not. It's like, this is so many questions. Like, why do people do this? Why are people still like this? Why was I treated the way I was treated? Why the world has changed and suddenly got worse. Some people have gotten better. But like, it's all the same. I've had friends who, I guess, I've gotten called like names, but since me being Puerto Rican, I went to school and I was so much different. I was just like Nate. Like, I didn't want to feel different because of how I was.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, still to this day, I don't really have friends. I didn't really have friends in school. If I had friends, they would be similar to me. Like, I didn't really talk to anybody. And like growing up, there weren't that many colored people around here. So it was so limited that I would talk to anybody. Then all of a sudden, years go by and more people of color have come to school.
Thank you for fixing that. People of color, yes. Thank you for fixing that.
People of color have came here around us. Milton, like, people of color have gone there like so much more recently, and over here is like more Hispanics all of a sudden popped up out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, cool. So now it's not so different, but like when I was in high school, it was like mainly white people. and it was very limited that people like me were there. So if there was like Mexicans or Puerto Ricans, it was like maybe 5 of us. Those are all the people I talked to, because everybody else is so different. And whenever I could say something wrong and something could slip, and I'd be like, I'd be corrected, but like they'd make fun of it, just like Nate, just like anybody with an accent like mine. Now it's like not so much. All of a sudden, like, oh, he has an accent, and but like I don't know why it was so different then, but
I mean, it's just the change of culture. Like, people are trying to be more sensitive because, I mean, these are people say like, oh, this is, world
PC culture.
like, people are so much more sensitive nowadays. But it's like it's always been a problem when people said it. It's just
people didn't feel like their voice mattered enough to be able to.
It's hard being like one of the good ones because there's nothing.
Being one of the good ones sucks. I hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I really do. And here's why I don't hate it. I say that I do because it is hard, because being one of the good ones, you have to live up to a certain standard, because then if you don't, you change the narrative. But also, I think that being quote unquote one of the good ones has, I don't know, if everyone only has ever had a negative opinion about a certain race or ethnicity, I think that you absolutely, by being quote unquote, like, and I hate this phrase, but by being one of the good ones, you have the ability to change one's perception about what it means to be that thing. And so, if I run into someone whose only opinion, like, for example, if there was a teacher who I would work with who has only ever had Black students who were class clowns and who were bad, their only expectation of every Black student that ever walked into their classroom is that they're going to be a class clown, that they're going to skip school, that they're going to cut classes, all that, etc. So once they get a student who doesn't do that, they might be able to understand, oh, okay, and this is going to sound really bad also, just in the phrasing, but this would probably be their mentality. Oh, they are not all that bad. God bless you. They are not all that bad. And so, I mean, while that still holds a lot of weight, and you do, by being one of the good ones, you do, therefore, God bless you, inherently shoulder that burden, and it is a hefty burden to carry, but there's certain implications that it can have that are not necessarily all negative, while they are certainly.
And the thing
well, not everyone has to. Anyone has to, and not everyone has to do that. So it's not fair, but still.
But even as being one of the good ones, it's like you're still held up to so much scrutiny. Like we got this when I got hired at Weiss, and one of the probably like first few times I had talked to one of our managers, he had come up to me and he was like, I've worked with your brother for a really long time, but you are so much more articulate than he is. It's crazy. And it's like, and again, in that situation, you just have to like, yeah, crazy. But like that in itself, like I'd say sometimes that you're smarter than I am. And you're much better at your words than I am. But like, you speak with not an accent, but like you sound Black.
Well, and here's the thing, and the God honest truth is that I did not always. And growing up in high school, I have a customer service voice and I have a me voice. In my job, I have, and a lot of times on the podcast, it depends on what we're talking about, but and it's code switching, and Cheney and I have talked about this previously, and I don't think about it actively, but I know who I can be in certain situations. In my professional career, in my teaching job, there are things that I will never say. There are ways that I talk to students, depending on who they are. The way that I talk to them changes. The way that I talk at Wise, so the difference is when I first started, it was still kind of in my early years of not really understanding who I was and not knowing who I am. But my quote unquote Blackness, because now I have more friends in my life, specifically Cheney and Nate, people in my life who who are Black or who are Latino or who are considered more urban. So my dialect has certainly changed over the years. Now, I can flip the switch in an instant. If I'm at work, thank you for calling Wise Markets. This is Aubyn. Have a good day. I can switch and it's not a problem. But for me at that job, at least, I don't care what those people think of me because it's not my job anymore. That's not my full-time. When I was there and when I was part-time and when I stuck to who I was or who they expected. But now I'm just comfortable being who I am and I don't care at that position. That's not a job it's not that I don't care about my job, because I care about my job enough to do it great because I feel like I'm a great employee and do my thing always. But I think we are at two different places also in our careers at that job. So where you are now is where I probably was then. But also, excuse me, I just think in general your pattern of speech is very different than mine also. Yes, that I can understand the difference and why someone might think that, but yes, I can.
But still, even just using the phrase like, "Oh, you're so articulate," is such.
Oh, it's heavily coded in a lot of things that are just trash. But
I think that was the first time it had ever been like super explicit, not explicit, like so in your face, because I knew that phrasing. I knew what that phrasing meant.
Oh yeah.
Never ever been used to me
at you.
in my life.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone's ever said that to me before, but I've also I have been much more in the past, I would say year or so. I have been much more vocal about my opinions, and when someone says, so like those phrases like the articulate or the you speak so white, or like I'm you're the whitest Black person I know. I have been so much more vocal over the last year and a half about calling people on their stuff. So when I see stuff on Facebook, and I know I shouldn't get into those conversations with people because it's not probably going to change anything, but if I see something that is wrong, I am much more likely now to say something about it than I would have been several years ago. But that is, again, just being comfortable and understanding who I am and my position in life, and that I am a respected person in most of the spaces that I operate in. And because of that, feel like I can say something to someone and that they have a better chance of listening. So, all right, Nate, your turn.
Quickly became the Aubyn and Anna podcast. I'm sorry.
Well, Cheney's completely shut down because his allergies are kicking his butt over there. This man looks like you go take some Dayquil, my G. What's good with you?
I already took a pill.
All right, Nate, go ahead, bro.
What happened?
Oh, what happened? We gotta get back to the question. The question was, how do you ever feel?
Been lost to time.
Yes. Do you ever feel like your friends and were comfortable enough with you and didn't see you as Latino, see you as Puerto Rican, so they could talk about people however they wanted to?
All right, so to me, honestly, I don't really like. I'm a shy person, so I don't really like meeting new people, like being friends with everyone, because I'm a shy person. So if I'm friends with you, I'll stay friends with you, and I won't really like making new friends. I'm just that type of person. So when I came to second grade, I met like 3 or 4 good friends, and I stuck with those. I didn't want to make new friends, and they were all Hispanic, Black, whatnot. I never really like I wouldn't say like I never really talked to white people, but like I would never like be good friends with them. So I always stuck with my Black people, Hispanic people, and then so I would only meet white people through sporting events like that. So I would never be good friends with them. And then except the one time I like had a teammate and he was white, and I became really good friends with him. I would have sleepovers with him all the time and all that. So then
Sleepovers. This man.
Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What happened?
Nada.
All right, so
Did you just say, did you kiss him?
no.
What did you say, Cheney?
I asked him if it was somebody I knew.
Oh, it sounded like you said, did you kiss him? Like at the sleepover? Did you kiss him? My fault. Go ahead. My fault.
Then we hit high school, and then he thought I was already like I was comfortable with him, but not like to the extreme like that. So then the one day it was junior year. So then out of nowhere, I was taking a video, and I showed him, and then he said the S word. So then I was like, huh? I felt the inside of my body getting extremely hot. Like I wanted to like punch him.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I just haven't been close with him at all. I'm not gonna say any names, but yeah, it's like I was not extremely close with him at
We're gonna
all.
try and not name drop on this as much as possible because we talking
You know what's
cash
crazy?
crazy about some people.
I think it's crazy. I don't know why, but I don't know why people are so open to saying the N word. Like it's okay. You see more white people saying the N word, like it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the time, unless they're really openly racist and they say it in the D word,
The D word?
derogatory.
Derogatory.
Unless they like say it just to say it or just to call you a N word, they're so open to just say the N word, and it's like it's not right.
I can tell you exactly what it is. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't know why they're so open, but
Uh-oh.
I have never heard.
Hold on. You might have to run that back because
Somebody
you froze.
called me.
Did you say anything? Because it was like you froze and then jumped through, and then now you're back.
No, I don't think I said anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think I've ever heard a non-Hispanic person say the S word in front or in general. People will be saying the N word left and right. You go to Facebook, you see like the
That's a good point. You're
I have
right.
never heard somebody say the S word. I don't know why. It's so like if they say it, you're getting punched. That it's not any worse than the N word. It is not any. It is the same thing, if anything. But I've never heard anybody say the S word. But if they say the S word, the only way you could say that is being racist, like the bad way.
And I can. Are you done with your thought? Because I think I can speak to that. I think I have an idea. And here's what happens a lot of time. We've talked about cultural appropriation, where one group takes something from another group and calls it their own. So a lot of times, and this is another infuriating thing about being Black. Not infuriating, but infuriating as a Black person. So many times our culture is appropriated into white culture. So they take our things and make them their own in some way. And it happens with so many, hip hop, it happens with everything that was inherently Black from the beginning and now is not necessarily Black. But things that are in Black culture, hip hop, rap, in the early times it was jazz, where all the stuff that came from, the clothing style, everything is considered to be cool. And so being Black is cool enough to take culture, to take the language, to take the clothing, to take the etc. It's just not cool to actually be Black and all of that and all that entails, which is the infuriating part. So it's okay to take things from Black culture because things that are, those rappers, those are cool people. So, that rapper said the N-word. I'm going to look cool if I say it too. And it's not the hard ER. It's just with an A at the end. So that makes it, no, it doesn't matter. I will punch you in your mouth either way. But so it is cool in pop culture for that word to be used in pop culture. It is cool for you to dress a certain way because it's that. I have never seen in pop culture it be cool to use the S word about Hispanics. It is only it's not an accepted term in mainstream culture, and that I think that's why you don't see it used outside of a derogatory
How we
sense.
would say, Aubyn, when he said that, I wanted to black on him.
You want to listen? I had a girl, Anna. Before you jump in, I had a good friend of mine at the time. She was good. We talked every day. You remember, Cheney, that night that I came home, and I don't think I've been that mad in a very long time. So we were talking, and this girl evidently felt, now he has dated some Black guys. She's been with Black guys, you know what I mean? So she evidently in her lifetime, she's used the word several times. And she used it in front of me. Now, she did not say it to me. Like, she did not call me the N-word. but she said it with the, without the hard ER. She said it in front of me about, something. She used it. And I was like, excuse me? What did you just say? And she attempted to defend herself, and I attempted to light her up because I was mad. And like I said, I'm gonna call someone on it. When I hear it, I'm calling you on your stuff. Like I'm not at the position in life where I'm just gonna sit and listen anymore. Like I'm not gonna do it. And so this person, said what she said, and her justification was, it was on the radio. She heard it on the radio, so it was fine. And I said, listen, I have listened to a lot of music on the radio. I have never in my life, heard the N-word on the radio. Not even on a black radio station. Not even on a black radio station. There are words you will never hear on the radio. You will never hear the F word. You will rarely hear the B word. You will never hear the N word. You will hear maybe the S. You maybe hear SHIT. You will maybe hear. Here's what, this one makes me laugh. The phrase that starts, the abbreviations are GD. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. GD. Gosh dang.
Oh yeah.
So what is so funny on the radio? They won't say gosh dang. They will blur out gosh and say dang. So it's not a problem when it's just, and I don't know if it's like
say,
huh?
You don't have nothing. Go on.
It's just like, why? Why is, like, to me, they are both problematic, but for most people, like, they don't care about the first part. I would think you would blur the second part of it, but they blur the first. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's because Christian people get mad about the God part being used, even though that it's a word that's being used. They will get mad about that one over than the other one. But like, the thing is, going back to like, oh, why do white people think they get to say the N-word? Or why do they want to? Because I don't understand why they should want to say it. It's because Black culture is American culture. Like whatever.
That's a great point.
Black history in America is so horrific if you go through and just look at what has happened to Black people in the however many hundreds of years we've been here. But you cannot separate American culture from Black culture. Like, pop culture has just from through decades, like up to the 50s and before, like you said, jazz was started from Black culture. Rock and roll started from Black culture. Betty Boop, even, she was styled after a Black woman. Like, so many things that are like, this is American culture. It is born from like the bones of Black culture, and they want to. It's because it's so huge in the culture. They want to experience all of it, even though we said you can't use the N-word. The reason they want to is because we said they can't, even though it's so like, because it's like telling a kid like you can't have a cookie from the cookie jar. They're gonna try and steal the cookie from the cookie jar.
The first thing they're doing is going to get that cookie.
First thing they're gonna do, and that's all it is. They want to be able to experience and take and do all this stuff from Black culture, but they refuse to acknowledge the hardship and the pain, the hurt, and the horror, and everything that is associated with all this stuff, all the background that comes from that. But they don't want to face it head on because then they feel guilty. Mm-hmm. Because white people always feel guilty when the subject of race comes up. It's like, there was this thing on TikTok the other day I saw. This person was like, I wasn't a slave owner, it's the same, it's this argument that's been here. I wasn't a slave owner, I wasn't alive during the 60s. I don't know why I should be punished for the things that my ancestors did. Not really acknowledging the fact it's not your ancestors, it's your grandparents. Like, that's how close slavery was. There's still, like, people's great-grandparents even. There are people still alive today who have experienced the effect of racism at its not its peak, because it never, like, it's it's always been the way it's been. But it's not that, like, it's not that they should feel guilty because, you know, my grandparents did it, so I did it by association. It's because they're still benefiting from the effects that were put in place then, and they refuse to acknowledge that they're still benefiting from it. And so they just want to be able to say whatever they want to say because, like, oh, racism is over. But it's not over. It's not changed at all. But they just want to do it because they don't want to feel guilty about it anymore, even though they're still benefiting. And I think that's the crazy thing, is that they just refuse to acknowledge what they're getting out of it.
There's air coming through.
Chaney's checked out.
There's air coming through.
That was a little bit of a longer culture corner than I expected, but hey, listen, it's what this podcast is about. It's about life and about our feelings about life. And in the interest of time, and we could probably sit here all day talking about these issues and things, but let's have a little fun. I think we'll end this podcast on a happier note, or maybe not so happy for some of us, because I have a feeling this is not going to go well. We're going to transition at this point into our favorite segment, You Think You Know. And so last week, the You Think You Know was titled You Think You Know Your Siblings. My sister and I won this segment of the episode last week, which we didn't announce last week during the show, but we're announcing it now. Anna, yeah, no, it's true. Anna won. She beat Nate. Nate did not get as many questions about Chaney as Anna did about me. But this week, the challenge was proposed to myself and to Chaney that we would run it back with You Think You Know Your Siblings. But this time, this is a first for Chaney and I, our siblings are going to quiz us. And so the way that this game works, if this is your first time watching this show, our siblings in this episode are going to quiz Chaney and myself about them. So they're going to ask 10 questions about themselves to us, and we are going to have 30 seconds each to think of and answer each question. Anna and Nate, your instructions are simple. Time us. Give us 30 seconds. Only take our first answer. Whatever our first answer is, that's the one that we accept. We'll take the 30 seconds to think and deliberate, even if we answer early. You know, if we get it wrong, that's fine. Allow us that 30 seconds to just think. It doesn't count to our score, but just see if we can figure it out in that 30 seconds. And we'll see at the end which one of the AfroLatinos knows their siblings the best. I'm gonna let Nate and Chaney go first because I'm kind of nervous about this one. So Nate, why don't you go ahead and ask Chaney the first question there? Everyone understand the rules of the game? Everybody know how this works? We're all good?
Nate, do you want me to time?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Y'all ready? All right, first question is easy. It should be easy. When is my birthday?
September 12th.
What year was our
2003.
All right.
Yeah.
2000 and what?
Isn't that sickening? Isn't it disgusting? I hate it. These guys are children, bro. Well, Chaney, you were born in, Chaney, were you born in 99 or 2000?
99.
Oh, thank God. He's
on the edge.
Just made it. I wouldn't.
He said 2000 and there's more.
2000 and wait, no. It's like those you know those TikToks that are like when it's the angel talking to God, and it's like, you know, we want there to be morning every day, and they're like morning. It's like MOURNING and MORNING. Yeah. Morning like sadness and morning like the morning time. Yeah. It's like that. You said 2000. No, 2000 and wait a minute, 2000 and it's like that. There's more to that? Yeah. All right. So Anna, you got the first one. So Anna, you're up. Nate, are you gonna time for Anna then?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. I feel like these questions are gonna be so hard. Anna and I have lived apart for so long at this point in time.
4 years.
It was my first year of school. And
Sure.
then you're 4 years at school. So Anna and I have lived separately for like 5 years of our life.
I was still in high school, so still living at home by the time you moved back.
That's true, but I was anyway. Go ahead.
Anyways, so what is my favorite band?
Yep, I'm out.
Oh my gosh! Sorry.
I'm gonna say if I get close, it is Coheeds and Cambria. Is that
Okay,
it?
there's an extra S, but that was it. Coheed and Cambria.
Okay. Yes. I got it. It was like the only what's the one that I wanted to say? Clockwork, Vaudeville, Steam Power Trap.
That's
That
my
was
favorite band in at least 6 years, but
that was hey, listen,
Oh,
I knew that one. I just knew Cambria was in there, and I just didn't know. I thought the Coheed sounded dumb, so I was like, that can't be right.
Oh,
But I got it.
that's 1-1. Wait, who's keeping score?
I can keep track.
All right, 1-1. All right, training.
You ready, Anna?
Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. Ready.
Who is my favorite basketball player?
Kevin Durant.
Correct.
Imagine.
He was an OKC fan, and KD was like his favorite player. And then he left.
Nate, how do you feel about KD going to the Warriors? Did you like the move? Or did you think it was trash?
I can't say I liked it because it was easily gonna be a championship, but I wanted him to get a ring because obviously he's my favorite player. So, I mean, I'm just glad he got a ring. I feel like he's like super good. You cannot say like
No, absolutely. No, he's great, but
crazy player.
but you can't add great to greatness and then expect it like this. Just it was cheap to me. I
it wasn't the same thing. So
It
I
wasn't
wish
a
we would
great
have had
player.
I wish we would have had a podcast 5 years ago when that happened, Cheney. I wish we knew each other and then we had
Oh
a
my
podcast
God.
I would have lit him up. I would have torn him to shreds. So anyway.
Sports.
Anna knows a lot about sports. She's
I understood everything that
she's
was
a professional.
Okay. What is Kazi's full name? Kazi, my dog.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what name you put first. Do you put Kazi first?
Yes. I'll give you that. Yes.
It is Kazi Wendell Christopher Johnson.
The
fourth.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ.
oh, what is
That is not actually this dog. So when we got go ahead, tell the story, Anna. Tell the story.
Okay. Well, my mom, she was only supposed to stay with us for like a week, and my mom brought her from one of her clients, and her name was Kazi, which we all agreed at the time was a very bad name because it doesn't mean anything. We don't know where it came from, and so we all decided to change it, but they changed it to Wendell, which I thought was not as good. Wendell from Emin Otter's Drug Band Christmas.
So Wendell's name isn't actually Wendell?
No.
Legally now it's Wendell. Like on all of her papers it's Wendell, but her real original name was Kazi. Even though I think she looks like Emmett more than she looks like Wendell, but that's fine.
All right, I'm gonna
put this in. And then I just added Christopher Johnson the fourth because I thought it was fun.
All right, so if you're still watching, let me Anna, is Wendell upstairs with you?
No, Dad said she didn't want to be on the podcast.
Do you have that picture of Wendell on your wall? The one on your wall.
Oh yeah.
Show that picture so that everyone can know what Wendell looks like. Because I'm gonna put up Wendell on the screen from that movie so you can see why we called her Wendell. Half for 50 cents. So this is what Wendell looks like. All right, so you can kind of see she's a small little dog, a little scruffy, right? So this is what Wendell from that movie looks like. Come on, there we go. So this is why she's based off of Wendell from the movie.
I think when she her hair's grown out, she looks like Wendell, but when it's cut like it is now, she looks like Emmett.
Which looks like
a little cute.
She does kind of have a Wendell face.
Eyes.
She kind of does have an Emmett face. I can't even lie. So this is Emmett Otter.
I've seen her with her haircut. Yeah.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas is a movie that my family watches, much to my chagrin, every year at Christmas time.
It's just a tradition, man. Get over it.
You know. All right, 2 for 2.
All right. Honestly, this is the easiest question. I don't even know why I put it in here. What's my favorite?
I don't know.
Basketball.
Go ahead, ask it again because I cut you off, I think.
All right. What is my favorite sport to play?
Basketball.
Correct.
That's an easy one. I don't know. I think that one, you're right, but the one that might be even easier is what's my birthday. So.
I think other than that one, all other questions have been about basketball. Okay.
So like, what's my phone number? I'm like, that's it.
You know, put that on the podcast. Too many
I'm gonna
people
dox
will
off
hit you up.
570.
I know Anna's phone number.
I know most of his. Okay.
I know everyone in my house's phone number.
When I was hired, what department was I hired for at Weiss?
Originally hired for?
Originally hired for.
So your origin story at Wise Markets.
You have
You were
30
hired when David Newsom hired you. He wanted you to be in the front end. You did not want to be in the front end, and then produce had an opening, and you went to produce. So I don't know if you mean that you were hired for front end or if you were hired for produce. So I'm gonna say front end because I'm pretty sure that is how you started, and then thankfully you were transferred to the produce.
I was hired and interviewed and trained on front end, and then like the day before I started, you had asked me, do you want to work in produce instead? And we moved me to produce, and it was much better. I would have died.
You're welcome.
As a cashier.
You would have been fine. You're so articulate. You would have been great.
I made sure that when I transferred, they did not put me in front end whatsoever.
I messed
I
up.
can't imagine myself being in any other department.
I can't do front end.
Well, now that I'm in the pharmacy, like I can't. Well, doing what I do in the front end now, like in bookwork, like counting the drawers and doing all that stuff, like I love that part of the job in the front end. It's the rest of it that I hate. So, but I really like my pharmacy job now. So, anyway, next 3 for 3.
3 for 3. All right. What is my favorite color? This is a tough one.
Hey, what is your favorite color? It's not purple.
10 seconds.
Black?
Oh.
No, it's not red.
Is it orange?
Nope.
Ew. What is it?
Neon green.
Get out of here, bro. Yo.
Lime is
My
sus.
favorite color.
What?
My favorite also is also green.
Neon green.
Lime is sus.
Lime is sus. It was neat.
That's my favorite color.
Okay.
Next.
What are we? 3 for 4? Damn,
Yeah.
Yep.
What kind of questions are that?
I don't think I know Anna's favorite color. So if that's a question on there,
Not one of them, but guess.
thank God. Pink.
Yellow.
Yes.
Our rooms are both our favorite colors. Although pink is
Although orange is coming into my life as one of my favorite colors, I think.
orange.
Not my favorite color to wear. My favorite colors to wear are mustard yellow and olive green. And olive green are two of my favorite colors to wear. But
orange, yellow, and pink are
Maybe a highlighter having ass.
I like all bright colors. Orange, yellow.
Highlighter looking ass. Weirdo.
Okay. Next question. What is my favorite game trilogy?
Mass Effect.
Got it.
That's an easy one. You just asked me to buy you the trilogy for your birthday.
I did.
I
And I
didn't
bought
do
it myself because I didn't want to wait a day.
Hey, listen, you know what happens. I've done that countless times.
What do you guys 4 for 4?
Yes, sir. You already know. We out here.
All right. What is my favorite shoe specifically?
He ain't getting this one. That's crazy.
Oh, I know this. They're Jordans, right? They're Jordan.
10 seconds.
This is the
5 seconds. 3,
Jordan 12s.
2, 1.
What is it, Jordan? What?
Jordan 5.
What they look like?
What does it look like?
Aubyn's recently are Toms, but it used to be like Pumas and Nikes.
I used to only exclusively wear Puma for a long time. Toms are just they're very comfortable because it feels like you're not wearing anything. So they're not my favorite. They're not my favorite, but they are my favorite to wear right now, like summertime shoe. I just seen those. All right. Hey, all right. I'm not a sneakerhead. I just can't get into except those Nikes that I bought.
That's right. That's what my favorite shoe was.
Jordan 12.
Well, you're wrong.
Ones. No, that's not ones. Oh, 11s.
No, 11s. Space Jams.
The Soldier 11s, bro. LeBron Soldier 11s.
Get the man out of here, bro. Let's get this guy out.
I just like the pair that I have.
We're 3 for 5.
Dang, bro.
Come on, bro.
I feel like I'm about to go 4 for 5 right on this next one.
Okay.
Nate, you got the time?
Oh, you ready?
You got time,
Nate, you got the time?
Yeah.
How did I come out as queer in 2016?
I don't have a clue. Oh, actually, I think I do. In the worst way possible.
Yes.
So my sister's a little dramatic. If anyone didn't know that.
You have 30 seconds, man.
It was via Facebook on our church's Facebook page after Donald Trump won the election.
Yes. Exactly. All points correct.
The worst way I have ever heard of anyone.
On that one.
That's so crazy.
There was many a voicemail left for me that morning.
Mercy me. I remember that morning. I remember that. I think someone sent it to me. I don't know what happened, but I just remember.
I didn't think anybody other than mom and dad actually saw it.
There's like a time and place for things.
I felt like that was a pretty good
maybe a church's Facebook wall is not.
I thought it was pretty applicable.
I think that you thought much of anything at that time. I think that was sheer gut reaction. But anyway, next.
All right. What year did I quit football?
In junior year. Last year.
My junior year.
Trash.
He was good. But this man said, I'm going to focus on my basketball.
We're 4 for 6.
Okay.
I'm
5 for 5. No, you're not. 4 for 6. Go ahead.
What were my 2 main instruments in marching band?
When'd you play marching
band?
You don't play marching band, idiot.
I played in marching band.
That is true.
Yes.
But what did I play? Mainly.
You played the crash cymbal.
15 seconds.
You did not play the marimba. You played the crash cymbal. You were in percussion.
5 seconds.
The triangle and the crash cymbal.
I'll give you a half point on that. The answers I was specifically looking for was bass drum, like concert bass drum and the gong. But I did start playing the crash cymbals, so I'll give you half.
Nah, I didn't get that one. I didn't say either of those instruments.
I
knew that you did play the crash cymbal. I remember you.
When I marched, I played crash cymbals, but I was in the pit almost always. And
wait, your question was specifically about marching band. You did not play the bass drum in marching band, did you?
I played the concert bass. When we were playing on the field, I had a concert bass mallet in one hand.
I never watched any of those. I don't.
I don't blame him.
I hate going to games. I hate football. I literally hate going to high school football games. So
a half point or no?
No, don't give me that one. I ain't get none of that.
Watch 6.
Kind of get none of that.
I did play.
Cheney, you look like the guy. You look like the guy from Assassin's Creed right now.
I was thinking Palpatine.
Nah, Assassin's Creed, because it's a white hood. So
That is true.
All right. Well, 4 for 6.
Aubyn has
5 or 6.
4 for
What is
6.
what is my dream car?
Let me see.
I always talk about this.
A Beamer.
What is
They're
that?
talking about their Need for Speed.
BMW. That's my favorite.
She's like sports. Oh no, that's
Okay.
5 for 7. Good job, guys. You guys are doing great.
6 for 7.
And I'm 5. Shut up, Gene.
Okay. How many bones have I broken?
None.
Correct.
You never broken a bone. I was like, wait a minute, did I miss one? You've cracked your head open. Well, actually, I don't know if you cracked it open, but
That was the skin split.
you fell backwards out of the car and busted your head off the floor.
That was pushed.
I was inside already. Anna has this narrative of this story where she busted her head off the car that I pushed her, but I was inside the house already when she fell. So how I push her and I'm from inside.
Listen, it was a head injury. No one really remembers what happened.
Everyone but you apparently remembers.
I had a head injury.
Oh man.
All right.
What? Khabib the guy, the UFC fighter Khabib, he just won last night. He announced his retirement after winning the lightweight title for the 3rd time. He was 29-0.
Damn.
It's crazy.
That's weak.
All right, come on, Trini.
Yeah.
If I do go to college, what do I want to study?
What do you want to study? What the hell?
I've said this a couple times.
He just talked about it the other night in the party. I forget, but he did just talk about this.
I've never heard him talk about it. All I hear was like hoping he get a scholarship for basketball. I'm his relative, so like science. I know you don't like science, but I don't know.
Business? Is it business? History?
Athletic trainer.
That's what it was. Oh my god.
Athletic trainer.
I knew that.
Yeah, all right.
You told me that.
He ain't know nothing. He ain't know that. That's crazy.
Athletic trainer.
So now I'm 6 for 8.
No. Now you're 5 for 8.
Oh no. Okay. What was my first paying job in high school?
Photographer. You were a photographer/photographer's assistant.
I'll take it. I was an intern for a photographer.
Yeah. It was photography related.
Tell me how bad I did on
Not bad, bro.
All right.
That was really good.
Where? Not a trip. Where did we go on our very first vacation as a family?
This would be a terrible question for me and Anna because we've literally traveled everywhere.
We've gone a lot of places. That's a very broad question, bro.
He said it wasn't a trip, just like it was an actual vacation, not just like not just a day trip or something.
Was it 2012 Puerto Rico?
Yeah, correct. Puerto Rico.
He told me you weren't gonna remember that, so.
That's crazy. I didn't think you would.
Let's be real, bro. That's when I split my nose right here.
That's man.
I'll be honest. I missed.
It was like
There was like
About
sharks, whatnot, like fake, like obviously fake.
there was cement, so there was
Yeah.
like a cement shark, like cement like other animals and stuff like that. And there was this big slide, but it was like a cement slide, so you go down there with cardboard. So there was this big ass shark, and I was like, there's a hole under. So I was like, oh, let's go inside. I went inside. There was cardboard. I was like, oh, we can use these cardboard so we can go up there. And I jumped out. As soon as I got out of the shark, I went up and I hit my nose on the fin. I was like, oh, I was like checking if I was bleeding. I was like, oh, I'm goop. And I took my glasses off. And they was like, oh, your nose. I was like, damn. I was bleeding up here because my glasses were like, not like this. They're like metal, like with the small thing right here with the bar. And that bar just like, so I
stabbed you in the nose. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I didn't get stitches, but I got like butterfly stitches just to like. That's how it be.
That's how it be.
I'll be honest. I missed the timer on that one, so I don't.
He always just say we gave it to him. That's all right. God bless you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chen, you got about one more time to sneeze on this podcast, though, bro. Go ahead.
I was an officer in
That's what I
Edinburgh.
meant.
Yeah.
Hold on. Where I meet this man? Hold on.
Okay. I was an officer of Edinburgh's LGBT club for 3 years. What was my position?
$20 seconds.
Vice president.
Wrong. Incorrect.
Editor.
Incorrect.
Assistant editor.
Wrong.
Assistant to the editor.
It's getting worse.
Yo, just stop talking, bro. Just stop talking.
Historian.
No.
Secretary.
No.
President.
No.
Oh.
There's no more positions.
Public relations.
That's not a real thing. That's not a real thing. That's not even a.
She said,
Listen, in my
my
junior class officers, I have a president, a vice president, a historian, a secretary, and a treasurer. I don't have no public relations.
What the heck is
It's not real.
A historian.
Hmm?
What does a historian do that a secretary doesn't?
So secretary writes things down that's said in meetings and takes all the notes. The historian is supposed to take pictures and stuff.
That's
Probably
what
more of what a public relations thing
Yes.
does, but
I was supposedly in charge of social media, but mostly I made posters and T-shirts.
listen, it's a great life. I need a T-shirt made. You want to design it?
How much?
$1.50.
I'll check with my lawyer.
I drive a hard bargain. I might make it $1.75. Go ahead, Nate.
$2 if you're lucky.
Last question.
Last question.
This is it?
Last question.
Oh my.
Last question. I thought we were
What do
late.
So y'all 6 for 9?
Yeah, 6 for 9.
That's at a 60. This about the 60. Listen, you're about at a 67%, Genie. Just letting you know. You gotta get this next one to pass.
I don't think he will, but all right. What colors did I wear to my first prom?
Was your first prom last year?
Don't tell him that.
Yeah, because I've been to a million proms. Yeah, I didn't see you there. The first prom was with Caitlin. So you were.
Who's that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember. You were.
Oh nah.
You
You
were,
said who's that? You said who's that, Nate?
White?
8 seconds.
No, that's cap. It was like 10.
5, 4.
It was a black suit. It was a black suit. I'll tell you that much.
Hey,
Final answer.
White shirt.
I said what colors?
The colors black, white, and blue. Black, white, and your tie
time
was
has
tan.
already come, my man.
Black, white, and your tie was tan.
Mm.
But it was a bow tie.
Yeah.
No, hey, you got 6 for 10. I mean, you
I got
lost,
seven,
but
yeah,
you need to go back and check. You need to go back and check your math, bro.
I got it right.
Uh-uh.
That's so big.
Right Run the tape, bro. Run the
Best
tape.
type, black, white, and blue.
I'll wear black, white, and blue.
Yo,
Cheney, how many proms have you been to? Only 2? You said I've been to mad proms and I never seen you there. What do you mean? You've been to 2?
3.
Sophomore, first senior year, and then the third senior year. I didn't go my junior year. I freaking hate prom.
I did 2. Anna, you went to 2, or did you just went to your senior prom?
I just went to my senior prom.
Nate, how many you been to? Oh,
1 and 1 only. I was gonna go last year, but you know.
Corona.
Ebola hit.
So I've been to the most proms. That's crazy.
You were
Yeah.
popular in high school. I don't know what you do.
4? All 4 years?
No, I could have gone as a freshman.
Wait, so how'd you go 4?
So I went my junior and senior year.
Oh, and then when you graduated?
And then because I'm young, right? So I graduated high school at 17. So I technically probably still could have gone like 3 more after that. So then my first ex, I went to her senior prom, and then my second ex, I went to her senior prom. So I've been to 4.
I was trying to figure out which one was your first.
Who ex number 1 was?
Who you consider your first?
Oh, I know what you mean. She was not. We weren't really dating. It's a whole thing.
Yo, ask her a question, bro.
Right, this is my last question. What concentration other than film was I considering in college?
Pottery.
Wrong.
Gosh
Someone
dang it!
else said
I said. Is it not ceramics?
No, incorrect.
Graphic design.
Nope. Yes, it was graphic design. When I was in high school, I was either going to do graphic design or.
Oh, you said in high school?
Well, I said what was I considering majoring in?
Oh, I thought. Okay, that's my fault. Did you graduate with a concentration in ceramics from school?
That was a minor.
Yeah, so I knew that you were a ceramics. I knew you had something to do. I thought you were talking about college, like when you were in college. What did you study? That's why I just didn't listen. I didn't listen to the whole question.
Yeah, I was either gonna go for graphic design or for film, but Dad said Bloomsburg had a graphic design program, so if I did graphic design, I had to stay home.
Might as well just stay there.
To go
Makes sense. All right. Well, looks like we won again. 7-10 to 6-10. Janie, that's the correct math there, just so you know.
You only missed 2, I thought.
You mean 7?
I missed the marching band.
Oh no, you missed 3. I got it.
I missed the marching band. I missed your
I missed
position,
3.
and I missed that last one.
Yeah.
No, Cheney, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Anna and I won again, or I guess I won since, Anyway, this has been another very long but exciting episode, a very, very, very long episode, but a very good episode of AfroLatinos. Cheney, once he's alive, we'll finish. Remember to like and subscribe to your YouTube page. Make sure to comment. Let us know your thoughts. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, anywhere podcasts can be found digitally, as well as on our YouTube page. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at AfroLatinos. Thank you again to Anna and to Nate for joining us on this episode. We are so thankful that you guys decided to come back and join us. God bless you, Cheney. Cheney, why don't you sign us up out of here so we can get up out of here, my guy?
I don't know what to say. You go ahead.
Okay, well, this is Aubyn. It's been a great episode. And my co-host,
Chandler.
Que Dios le bendiga, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye.